and so on to the detention. Now, if you are lawfully detained, it's probably because you made yourself conspicuous and stupidly attracted attention to yourself. Now, a detention is not an arrest. It's what they like to call a reasonable suspension of your freedom until the officer can uncover the required probable cause for an arrest. A detention must be based on reasonable articulable suspicion that you are or were involved in some criminal activity. The officer has to prove that it's more than just a hunch to be able to detain you. If the officer can prove concealment, or if you've run away at the sight of officers, unusual or suspicious movements, if you run away from property that you're holding, or if you're walking around looking suspicious or you're wearing some sort of disguise, or if you're present at the scene of a crime, for instance.
No, sir. No, sir, there's nothing to worry about, really, and the bomb threat is over now. We're just here in the tube, dealing with random people, making sure that everything is tickety-boo. All we want to do is take a quick look in your bag, and you can be on your way. I can see you're in a rush, but I promise you it's only going to take 2 minutes. And besides, if you've got nothing to hide, then why be concerned? Quick 2 minutes, and we can let you go on your way.
So if you remember from the original dealing with the police broadcast, you are never obliged to answer any police officer's questions, either when being detained or being arrested or otherwise. Nor are you obliged to let anyone look in your bag. They will do it anyway. They'll do it unlawfully and without your consent, and that you will have to learn how to deal with after the fact. Now, you cannot be moved from one place to another during a detention, though you're not free to walk away until he says so. Being unnecessarily placed in custody constitutes an unlawful arrest without probable cause. You're also not obliged to show any ID, your driver's license, passport, or otherwise, during a detention. A detention can last up to 30 or 40 minutes, depending on the discretion of the officer, and it's during those 30 or 40 minutes that you need to keep your wits about you, because he needs to uncover probable cause, and he'll do that by talking to you, appearing to be friendly, and so on and so forth. And your job during those 30 or 40 minutes is to strictly adhere to rule number 1 and rule number 2, without exception. Now, if probable cause doesn't exist, then you're free to go after a few minutes, unless he magically makes up some probable cause, which has been known to happen. You have every right to demand that he expresses his reasonable articulable suspicion to you for the detention, and you should do that. Again, am I free to go? What is the nature of this detention? Am I free to go? If the police officer won't tell you what his reasonable suspicion is, then you should say, since you've not expressed any legal basis for this detention, I must be free to go. Am I free to go? And then attempt to leave. You have to call his bluff or force him to detain you, lawfully or unlawfully. If the officer tries to concoct some sort of probable cause by suggesting things like, I can smell marijuana, can you? Can you smell hash? What I might do then is get a couple of witnesses, get them to come and smell it. Can you smell hash, sir? Get them to concur that there is no smell of marijuana in the area to diffuse the officer's chance of obtaining some sort of probable cause. The same applies for the roadblock detentions that you're seeing in the United States at the moment. It has been known for an officer to have a little bit of hash in his pocket, touch the side of your car with it, and then get the sniffer dog to bark when he smells the hash on your car door, therefore giving them probable cause to search your vehicle. Make sure that no one touches your car. Make it very clear that you do not give consent for them to touch your vehicle in any way, shape, or form. The best example of dealing with the roadblock detentions in the United States at the moment is a YouTube channel called Checkpoint USA. The owner of that channel has filmed all of his experiences in these matters, and they're well worth a watch. And you can get a sense of how someone actually knows how to assert their rights and ends up driving off, leaving the officers very frustrated indeed, I can imagine. Keep a level head at all times. Don't get angry. Don't start foaming at the mouth. But don't be overly confident or cocky either. You don't want to do anything or say anything to exacerbate the situation or to antagonize the officer. Your job is to get away, but to be polite but firm and assert your rights. And then we come to the arrest. So you've either been belligerent or you've cheesed off the officer in some way. You're not a criminal. You've just been asking questions and so on and so forth. You've irritated the officer and he's about to arrest you. Now, whenever an officer significantly restrains you, that's an arrest, even if he doesn't actually mean to arrest you. If he puts his hands on you and uses any sort of force, that's an arrest. And any significant restraint must always be supported by probable cause. Without probable cause, the officer is liable for a false arrest, and any evidence gathered after that fact is inadmissible in court. Probable cause generally comes from evidence seen in plain view. That means he's either seen it, or heard it, smelt it, touched it, or tasted it for himself. If his five senses alert him to a crime, then he has probable cause. But the officer must personally know the factual situation going on. If he doesn't, then it's hearsay, and it's not probable cause. Now, although it seems only fair that you should lawfully be able to resist an unlawful arrest, it's not advisable. It's exactly what the officer would need to justify the arrest if he hasn't got probable cause. If you start wrestling with him, he's going to be able to charge you with resisting arrest, and he'll have it in the bag, and his job is done. Just go along peacefully, and do not fight or struggle in any way, shape, or form. Just shut up. That's your most powerful weapon. Anyhow, you're about to be placed under arrest. At that point, I would have my mantra to hand. Officer, for and on the record, there will be no need for force or violence. I will not resist arrest. But you are obliged to note that I will be operating under protest and duress every step of the way. I reserve all of my rights at all times, and waive none of my rights at any time for any cause or reason. I do not consent to this arrest, and I do not consent to the taking of my fingerprints, DNA samples, and I do not consent to be placed on any database. Once you're checked into the police station, reaffirm your mantra, assert your rights, and then shut up. Sign absolutely nothing except for an inventory of whatever they take off you. If I'm told to sign something, what I might consider doing is asking them what will happen if I don't sign. And invariably they'll threaten you with more cell time, or perhaps more court time, or some sort of charge that will give you the right to proceed your signature with, under protest and duress, threat and coercion. More cell time is a threat, is it not? Now, once you're arrested, they can pretty much do what they want with your belongings. But if they want to do a major bodily intrusion, like a cavity search, they're going to need a warrant for that, and you make sure they get one. Now, once you're in the cell, you'll almost certainly be called for an interview, and their job is to get you to talk. They'll try and gain some sort of rapport with you, chit-chatting about this and that, and seemingly unrelated to the charges that you're facing. Remember, he's not your friend. If he was your friend, he would have let you go. They'll try and wear you down by asking you the same questions again and again to force you, first to talk, and then to make mistakes and inconsistencies. Remain politely silent. Having said that, if you do feel strongly there's been an injustice, you should show the relevant righteous indignation and answer their questions with questions. You should be aware of some of the little tricks they use in order to get you to talk.
Hey, nothing to worry about there. I just needed to answer a few routine questions.
Where they're concerned, the questions are never unimportant, and they're never innocuous.
Hey, come on, mate. I'm just trying to help you.
Absolute nonsense. If he wants to help you, ask him to let you go.
It's truth, mate. I just want to give you a chance to tell your side of the story.
Well, I think you should tell me your side of the story. What is it you think you know?
What are you trying to hide?
Oh, what are you trying to make me say?
Innocent people don't mind answering questions.
Well, I'm pretty confident that if you thought I was innocent, you wouldn't be asking me questions in the first place, would you?
You'll feel better if you talk to me.
Oh, don't worry about that. My conscience is perfectly clear.
Well, there's a bloke outside who's just identified you.
Really? Oh, bugger. Oh, well, see you in court then.
Listen, son. Your mate's already told us everything.
Well, if that's true, you don't need my story, do you?
Now you listen to me, sonny boy. This is your last chance for a deal, so you better start singing.
Typical intimidation tactic. Creating a false sense of urgency. And then, of course, we have that old chestnut. The tried and tested good cop, bad cop routine. Now you listen here, Sonny. If you don't start answering my questions, I'm going to ram your teeth so far down your throat, you're going to need to stick a toothbrush up your bum to clean them. Grr.
No, don't listen to him. No, he's an angry bugger. Yeah. No, listen. I'll calm him down a bit. I'll calm him down. Now you just relax and tell me all about it, and I'll make sure he doesn't come back in here again, all right? Look, sir, I'm just doing my job.
Yes, well, that excuse didn't fly at the Nuremberg trials. What makes you think it's going to fly now? They will almost certainly suggest something like...
Well, if I were you, Sonny, I'd be thinking about getting some legal advice right now. Would you like us to call you a solicitor or a lawyer?
Well, I've done nothing wrong. I'm not a criminal. Why on earth would I need legal advice? If you get a solicitor or a barrister or a bar licensed attorney involved in your case, you're basically admitting that there's something you need to defend. And besides, solicitors, barristers, and bar licensed attorneys generally deal with persons. Are you a person? You could go that way if you wanted to. But keep in mind that with enough time and pressure, anyone will crack. So silence is always the best route.